The U.S. House of Representatives held a 4-hour hearing yesterday on the possibility of granting statehood to Washington, D.C. Republicans are accusing Democrats of a power play. They also say Congress does not have the authority to grant statehood to the nation's capital. City's mayor says its lack of representation is, quote, a glaring civil rights issue. If D.C. becomes a state, it would receive 2 senators, add a full voting member in the House of Representatives. Joining us now is Hans von Spakovsky, senior legal fellow at the Meese Center for Legal and Judicial Studies at the Heritage Foundation. Hans, thanks so much for joining us. Always great to have you on. First off, statehood for Washington, D.C. It's been discussed in the past, but why this new push and why now?
Well, this does come up every couple of years, and I think it's come up again because Democrats now control both houses of Congress and the White House. So if they can get a bill through, the president will surely sign it into law. The problem is you cannot establish the District of Columbia as a state through a congressional bill. You can only do it with a constitutional amendment. And look, that's been the opinion of the Justice Departments of both Democratic and Republican administrations going all the way back to when Robert Kennedy was the Attorney General during the Kennedy administration.
Hans, can you take us through these arguments, for and against statehood?
Sure. Look, this would be apart from the constitutional question, this would be a big mistake. The whole reason for the creation of the District of Columbia was because the framers of the Constitution did not want the seat of government, members of Congress, and others to be dependent on, for example, protection and security by a state government. They had a graphic illustration of this when the Continental Congress had to flee Philadelphia in 1783 when they were attacked by unhappy Continental soldiers, and the state government of Pennsylvania refused to do anything about it. So they wanted the framers wanted an independent, sovereign capital under the control of Congress. And I think those reasons are just as valid today as they were back then.
And Hans, how do you see this all, sort of playing out? And what would be the big takeaway here?
Well, the big takeaway is, one, any bill passed by Congress would immediately be attacked in the courts as unconstitutional. Second, remember, the 23rd Amendment gave 3 electoral college votes to the District of Columbia. If they pass this bill and it becomes law with 2 senators and a member of the House without repealing the 23rd Amendment, they won't just have 3 electoral college votes, they will have 6, which is fundamentally unfair and something that should not happen. So this is just a bad idea all around.
And Hans, before we wrap up here, any final thoughts?
Well, it's interesting, this push for this, because, this is not a civil rights issue. Eleanor Holmes Norton has said that. She's the current non-voting representative in the House. By the way, her predecessor, a guy named Walter Fauntleroy, he also agreed that it would take a constitutional amendment to do this, and he also apparently did not think it would be a good idea.
All right, we're going to leave it right there. Hans, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it. Hans von Spakovsky, senior legal fellow, that is, at the Meese Center for Legal and Judicial Studies at the Heritage Foundation. Thanks so much.
Sure thing. Thanks for having me.